The average American man is 17 pounds overweight. The average American man has less than $1,000 in his bank account. The average man is a fat loser. But it doesn't have to be that way. Even when I see one of these fat losers, or anyone I see, I think, man, this motherfucker's got so much potential, but he's got some things that are holding him back from actually realizing it. There's some things in his life that are holding him back from realizing his potential. And I want to give you the 13 things that are ruining your life and stopping you from becoming a high value, baller ass, shot caller ass motherfucker. So let's get into it. Number one, the first mistake you're making is, I talk to a lot of guys who want to improve their lives, and they're always kind of looking for a shortcut. Even the way they ask the question, it's like, man, what's the one exercise I need to do to build arms like you? Or what's the one thing I could do to get abs? Or what about this? Or what about that? It's like they're always looking for a shortcut. It seems like they're always trying to see what they can get away with, like how much they can get away with, instead of seeing how much they can actually push themselves. The average person never really pushes themselves. They have no idea what it's like to strive for excellence every day. Instead, what they do is they'll skip a day here, they'll slack off there, cut corners, and then they'll say shit like, oh, it's not so bad. Oh, I deserve this. Bunch of bullshit like that, right? Or they say, or my favorite one, oh, it's better than nothing. And they end up working out 2 or 3 and they say, oh, it's better than nothing. No, nothing is better than something. Because when you only do a little bit or half-ass it, it's worse because it gives you the illusion that you're actually making progress. But you're not. The real progress comes from consistency every day. And not only is the consistency, but actually pushing yourself. Like sometimes people make fun of me in some of my videos because I go like super hard. Everything I do, I'm an extremist. And they'll say shit like, you don't need to weigh all your food. You can just eyeball it or something like that. You could, but I'm going to be a little bit more accurate than you, even if it's just 1%. But I'm doing that on multiple different levels. I'm getting with my diet, with my training, everything I do. I'm trying to squeeze out every bit of victory from everything I do. But here's the thing, it all adds up. So if I do 10 things 1% better than you, that's a total of 10% better. And over the course of months, that's going to add up. Over the course of years, you can't even fucking catch up with me. Instead of trying to see how much you can get away with, like see how far you can push yourself. And sometimes when I talk about my workout routines, people will say, oh man, you're going to overtrain. You're going to overtrain if you do that. Find out, motherfucker. Fuck around and find out, because you have to go too far in order to find out how far you can go. If you never go too far, you'll never know how far you can really go, how much you can actually push yourself. Oh man, you'll get burnt out if you work 12 hours a day. Will you? You don't even know. You just saying that shit. Go find out. Go see what your actual capacity is and work at capacity. Work at capacity every fucking day. Go all out. And the beauty of that is you'll find out not only what your capabilities are, but if you do that over a longer amount of time, what happens is you'll be able to stretch your capability and you'll be able to actually push harder. Before, I was just a one-man show, but then I get employees and I'm trying to work them as hard as I work, but they would get burnt out. Like motherfuckers would start getting sick and catching colds and shit. Soft. First, I used to get mad. And then I talked to one of my mentors. He said, well, listen, Brandon, you've been doing this for a long time. Your bench press, you didn't put up 300 something pounds the first time you touched a bench press. You have to work up to that. So they're going to have to work up to that capacity. I took them too far, then I scaled it back. Okay, they can't go this hard. How far can they go? And we went there. And what happens is, man, they really start to push themselves and they start to see what they're made of, but then they start to build that work ethic as well. The second thing ruining men's life is picking the wrong girl. This is a big one. Picking the wrong girl. One of my mentors, Russell Brunson, the founder and CEO of ClickFunnels, I heard him say once that a man will be as successful as his wife allows him to be. And I was like, oh shit, I felt that. Because you know how it is. You out here trying to grind and hustle, and then they were like, yeah. I'm not saying you should ignore your girl or whatever, because you definitely can't do that. But at the same time, you got to have someone who has the same mission as you, who understands the mission and is actually like a co-pilot, who's actually helpful and beneficial in that regard, who wants to see you succeed as much as you do. That's like my girl, like she actually helps out. Like she helps me do things, set shit up for me, and she's an asset in that regard. But if you got somebody always trying to hold you back or telling you to chill don't pay the bills, dummy. And check this out. Here's a study, Washington University in St. Louis. Boom. Spouse's personality influences career success. A new study found wives may influence behavior in the workplace. The study said the best thing you can do to advance your career is pick the right spouse. And something else the study said, the guys who pick the right spouse actually, they have more success at work, they earn more promotions, make more money, and feel more satisfied with their jobs. They actually like their jobs more. Of course, because they ain't got some bitch in their ear telling them, yeah, you always working. Shut up, ho. Go be poor with somebody else. I was explaining this to my man Fresh when I was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and he cut me off. He said, here's the thing, if you stop working to spend more time with her and you start falling off, she gonna leave you. And I was like, yeah, she gonna leave you for a motherfucker like me. And a motherfucker like me gonna leave her because she gonna be trying to get me to stop working so much. Next thing you know, I done broke your dream girl's heart because you a bitch. I have a sales team at one of my businesses, and whenever one of the sales guys' numbers start slipping, I'll pull them aside and be like, what's going on with your life? Like at home, how's you and your girl? 9 times out of 10, the bitch is fucking with my money by pissing him off. So I gotta like have a fucking coaching session with him. All right, here's what you're gonna do to fix this, and I gotta like, what's her love language? What's about, I gotta fix their relationship so I can make more money. Ain't that a bitch? But I can't let this hoe fuck up my money. No way. You know what I'm saying? She's got to want your success as much as you do. And my man Hermosi said, Alex Hermosi, he said, one of the best ways to stay poor is to pick a spouse that makes you feel guilty for work. When I heard that shit, I was fucking mic drop. And I think it's important that I throw in a quote of a white man saying it, because for whatever reason, some of you guys seem to not fucking feel me until a white man says the same thing. Maybe it's because I look, dress, and talk like a 90s drug dealer, so maybe I get it. Maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it's me. It's the way I present myself. Life is like chess. When you're playing chess, you can lose your queen and still win the game. See, the purpose of the game is not to keep the queen, it's to win the game. And you can win the game without the queen. If you gotta sacrifice your queen, that's what you gotta do. But if you can keep the queen, it's a real valuable piece. As long as your queen ain't talking crazy, telling you not to work. Dumbass bitch. Yeah, I'll throw my own queen off the board. I'll beat this motherfucker without a queen. The next thing that's ruining men's life, I'm gonna lump these together. They're called the 3 Bs. This is number 4, number 5, and number 6. This is the 3 Bs. And so I had a mentor when I was younger, and he was like a millionaire, and he was a cool dude. He went to the same college as me, but he was older, and he graduated, and he started a business, and he was a millionaire. And I was talking to him, and he said, yo, the main thing you gotta avoid is the 3 Bs. It's booze, bets, and babes. Drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol years ago, maybe like over 8 years ago. My productivity has skyrocketed because, after you drink even just a few drinks, you're not as sharp as you are next day. And actually, here's why. The association between alcohol consumption and gray matter and white matter volumes in the fucking brain, right? Like, so basically what this study says is it actually fucks up your brain. It shows that it fucks up your brain. And there's some more studies I'm going to bring up to corroborate this. Boom. There is no safe level of alcohol consumption for brain health. This is a pretty extensive study over 25,000 people. It's from Dr. Oddman, whatever. This is off his. So what he does is this is a doctor who does brain scans of the brain. And this is what a healthy brain looks like when he does one is scan. But then the I can't read this shit. This is a bad image.
Yeah, the quality.
Yeah, but this is the one that's alcohol, right? Someone who drinks, right? And you might be thinking, oh man, I can only drink a little bit, man. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I don't give a fuck, right? This study says there is no safe level of alcohol consumption. But we can actually extrapolate that to all like recreational drugs. It has an effect on your brain. And I know people who drink sometimes and make a lot of money, right? But again, I'm just trying to be the best I can be, right? This is about being the best. Problem is, alcohol, drugs, they're habit forming. And I've really seen them fuck up a lot of people's lives. I think they've hurt more people than they've helped. If you're gonna smoke weed, if you're gonna fucking drink, it's not even moderation. It should be like every blue moon, because the next day you will not be as productive, especially with alcohol. It does a lot of things to you on a biological level, and there's no way you can perform as good as if you were sober and well rested. Like, there's just no way. Research how marijuana affects REM sleep and then find out how important REM sleep is. You might reconsider some of your choices in that regard. And then we got to go to bets, gambling. So gambling is one of the most addictive things there is. Let me show you why. I'm gonna bring this study up. So this is from the Mayo Clinic, and it's a researcher of the study. Gambling can stimulate the brain's reward system, much like drugs or alcohol can, leading to addiction. I've seen gambling ruin a lot of people's lives, including mine. I didn't gamble, but my dad did. So you know my story. I grew up poor, south side of Chicago. Parents were struggling and shit, trying to make shit happen. Eventually I get into some trouble and get sent away to military school. And I'm in military school. I'm one of the only poor kids there. I was there on some sort of affirmative action or some shit. And my dad, that's when his business started to take off. Like, we were struggling before that. But while I was in military school, those years, all his work started to pay off. Like 10, 15 years of fucking hard work started to pay off. And by the time I had graduated from military school, he was making about $3 million a year. And that was in 2000. And adjusted for inflation, that's about $8 million a year. It was a lot of money. He was doing well. I didn't experience any of it because I was away in military school. It was a boarding school. And then I went to college, Howard University. But around that same time, that's when he started gambling. I remember every semester he'd ask me how much my tuition was. And he said, all right, I'm gonna try to get it at the casino. And I kind of never knew if I was gonna go back to school or not. And he didn't invest it in shit. He's a street dude who figured out a way to make some money. He didn't have the knowledge that I be trying to give y'all. And by the time I was out of college, he had ruined all the money. Fucking bankrupt, all that shit. Then, he got himself in some other trouble, but the gambling is what really led him to actually commit suicide. You know what I'm saying? When I was in my early 20s, it was a big part of it, a contributing factor, because the gambling ruined his life. Like, if he never gambled, I wouldn't have this cool ass stories to tell y'all about coming from the bottom. You know what I'm saying? I'd be talking about daddy's money and shit. By the time he died, it's like he left debt that I had to help figure out how to help my mom pay and shit. Taxes and shit we had to figure out, and that he owed back taxes. It was a fucking mess. He ended up worse off than before he made any money, right? And gambling was the culprit. So you want to avoid gambling. Seriously, you want to avoid that shit, man. Like the plague. The next B, babe. So it's women and kids. We already talked about how women can fuck your whole shit up, but it's having too many kids. So my brother is super smart. Like, there's some people in my family who have legit genius level IQs. Tested. One of them is his daughter. His daughter, she's 16 and she can go to Stanford. I mean, my brother just don't want her to go because 16-year-old in college don't sound right. You know what I'm saying? He went to college, so it might not be the right environment for a young girl. But anyway, she took the IQ test and it's like genius level. Like, when I took it, it was above average, but it wasn't no genius level shit, right? And he's a borderline genius too. Like, he's super smart. However, he's got 6 kids from 4 different baby mamas. And he started having these kids out young. And it really just slowed him down as far as the time, the money. It really like threw him off his game, right? And sometimes we think about what he could have been had he not had so many kids, so many distractions, because he was around when my dad was balling, and he could have like really leveraged that into something else, but he had to worry about all the goddamn kids, man. And I love my nieces and nephews. It's just their fault. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's not their fault. They ain't asked to be here. It's his fault, right? He's the one who didn't wrap it up and shit. And it's super preventable. Like, my son was planned. It wasn't no accident like most of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Well, some of y'all was tragedies. You're going to have sex with people eventually, especially if you keep watching my videos and you keep improving your life. Women going to be all over you, right? And you're going to have sex with some of them. It's natural. That's what happens when you watch Brandon Carter videos over and over again. However, you got to wear condoms or pull out. I mean, pulling out, read the studies. It has a 90% success rate. But then there's that 10%. That's why you wear a condom and pull out. And if you get someone pregnant, then that's basically immaculate conception. That's a little baby Jesus. A lot of my boys who are balling, what they did is they got some sperm frozen and then got vasectomies, right? So you freezing your best sperm. So when you 50, 60, ready to have some kids, you can go get your 22-year-old sperm instead of trying to put some fucking 50-year-old sperm in a chick and have a little goofy ass baby with a bunch of problems. Number 6, Sixth thing holding men's back, being a bitch, being a little hoe, being scared to do shit. There's two types of people, person A and person B. They both have goals, dreams, aspirations, things they want to accomplish in life. However, in between them and that goal is fear. This is with everyone. Everything I've done, I was scared before I did it. But just because you scared don't mean you a bitch. You only a bitch when you let the fear prevent you from even trying. So that's what person A does. It sees the fear and it cowers. Oh no, I'm gonna stay over here. No, I ain't gonna do that. There was some slaves who didn't run away when Harriet Tubman came. You know that? It was like, Harriet. No, Harriet. Oh no, that's too dangerous. We just gonna stay here and be some slaves. My ancestors said, yo, Harriet, we trying to ride. And they went with Harriet. They were scared. Obviously, you die if you get caught doing that shit. They went on that journey with Harriet and they got free. Some of them were killed on the way, right? Some died, right? But at least they weren't bitches, right? And where'd they go? Southside Chicago. We're descendants of the slaves who refused to be held in bondage, who rather risk death than slavery. But most of y'all won't even risk being embarrassed for you to get free, right? You want to get out of your situation, but you scared. Oh, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't fail? What, you ain't gonna die? The slaves would have died if they got caught. You just gonna fucking lose some money or some shit. Whatever. You broke now. You mastered poverty. You good at that shit. You good at being broke. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no big deal. Number 7, the 7th thing that's ruining men's life, keeping them average or below average, is trying to have balance. You know, I hear a lot of people talking about, man, you need balance. What about balance or work-life balance or all this other shit? Balance is for people who are satisfied with being average. Let me give you some stats on what the average American looks like. The average American watches 33 hours of TV a week. 33 hours. That's a whole nother job you could have, right? The average American reads just 4 books a year. Soft. I've been reading 2 books a week for like 15 years. The average American works 34 hours per week, 34.4 hours a week. Not even a 40 hour. They're not even putting that in a full work week. They're not even trying to ball. The average American is 17 pounds overweight. Fat boys. The average American spends 5 hours a day on their cell phone. Doing what? The average American has less than $1,000 in their bank account. The average American makes around $48,000 a year. That data is a few years old. I think it's in the 50s now. Congratulations. You got a $2,000 raise, broke boy. The average American household is $130,000 in debt. These are the stats. This is what happens when you're balanced, you're average. In order to be successful, you have to become an extremist. You can't pussyfoot in this shit. You got to go like super hard, right? And you're going to have to become unbalanced in certain areas in your life. But the thing is, the beauty of it, you don't have to neglect your family. You don't have to neglect your health. You don't have to neglect your spouse. You don't have to neglect training. All you have to do is neglect the bullshit, right? Maybe you got to stop playing video games. Maybe you got to stop getting high so much or going out and partying. Or maybe you got to stop watching so much Netflix or TV and allocate that time towards acquiring your goals, to accomplishing your goals. Allocate that time to the acquisition of capital so you can ball. You don't want to be like these motherfuckers, man. The average American is a fat loser, man. 17 pounds overweight, less than $1,000 in their bank account. That's what balance is going to give you, right? You got to be extreme when it comes to your goals, but you don't have to neglect the other parts of your life. Open the screen time app on your phone. You'll see how much time you waste. It's right there. What if you would have took that time and allocated it towards something you wanted to do? The 8th thing that's ruining your life and keeping you average is being negative. Negativity is like a cancer, I'm telling you. Let me explain something. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. And it's a real part of your brain. It's a part of your brainstem. And its job is to bring things to your attention that you deem important. Let me explain. Everyone's had this experience. You or someone you know gets a new car. Next thing you know, you start seeing that car everywhere. You're not fucking magic. You're not an X-Man. That car was already there. You just didn't notice it because it wasn't important to you until you or your friend got it. And then next thing you know, you started seeing it every day, but it was there the whole time. It's kind of like if you're in a crowded place and there's a lot of activity and a lot of noise, but someone yells your name, they can be yelling a bunch of stuff. If they yell your name, you're gonna hear that, right? Because it's your reticular activating system will pick that up. It's super critical. If you're negative all the time, what do you think your RAS is gonna show you? If you're always talking about things that are going wrong in the world or things that are going wrong in your life, the Democrats, the Republican, the blacks, the whites, you're gonna start seeing that shit everywhere. You're gonna start seeing that. But what else you can do is you can actually start looking for the good in things, the good in people, the good in your circumstances. Because think about it. Even if you a broke motherfucker and you got a lot of bad shit going on, I'm sure you can still find things to be grateful for right now. You still find things to be happy about. And the beauty of it is, once you start looking for those things, you'll start seeing them more. But if you start thinking about getting money, guess what? You start thinking about ways you can make money. Instead of how broke you are, you start thinking about ways to make money. Start studying it, watching videos like this, watching videos about it, reading books about it, talking to people about getting money. Your RAS system will start seeing different opportunities for you, right? They were there the whole time. But if you were negative, you're gonna miss those. You're only gonna see negative shit. You're only gonna see what's bad. But the good shit is there too. You just gotta see it. You gotta look for it. You really gotta look for it. You could do this with anything. You do this with with money. That's the main reason I do it. If you come into my house, I mean, that's not gonna happen. You can't get past security, and then it's like it's private elevator. Well, let's say you need the key thing to get in, but let's say you did. All right, let's say you were delivering the Uber Eats or some shit. That could happen. As soon as you come out the private elevator, before you even get to the actual home, come out the private elevator, you're gonna see a big money sign rug, a big money rug, and you're gonna see a bench with 2 pillows, money pillows on it. You're gonna see that as soon as you come in. And then when you walk in, you're gonna see another money rug. And then you go in my office, you're gonna see several money rugs and money art and shit, because I'm trying to program my RAS system to find more opportunities for me to get money. That's what I'm serious about. I'm serious about success, right? So I think about success. I don't even listen to music where motherfuckers are sad, because I don't want to start seeing that shit in my life. All I listen to is music about guys getting money or killing people for money. Gangster rap, 90s gangster rap. I can't listen to a lot of the new stuff because the new kids are rapping about like doing the drugs. It doesn't fucking resonate with me. And this thing, I don't let other people talk negative around me even about themselves. I don't know. If they say something that they don't want to be true, I stop them. Immediately say, don't say stuff about yourself you don't want to be true. Like if somebody says, oh man, I'm just not really good at this thing. I'm like, don't say stuff about yourself you don't want to be true. And let me show you why. So there was a guy named Bill Buckner. And Bill Buckner, he played for a lot of teams, but he's really famous for his time at the Red Sox, but not for no good reason. Bill Buckner was like a really good player, Golden Glove winner. He was a G. His team was in the World Series. This is what he's most famous for, unfortunately. And this is when he played for the Red Sox. And he did an interview about 11 days before the World Series. And Bill said, the dreams are that you're going to have a great series and win. The nightmares are that you're going to let the winning run score on a ground ball through your legs. Those are the things that happen, you know. I think a lot of it is just fate. So he's talking about some negative shit, right? Let's watch what happens. This is the winning run of the game. Oh, he hits it. Where's it go? Bill Buckner right through his fucking legs. Yo, I'm not saying this motherfucker is magic or anything, but he influenced his brain, right? He influenced his brain. You're more powerful than you think. Don't think or say anything about yourself you don't want to be true, and never be negative. Now, I'm not telling you to be positive. That's not what I'm saying. Because if you try to say something that's not true, your brain will know it's bullshit. You can't say, I'm the best in the world at this, right? When you know you're not, it's bullshit. I'm not telling you to be positive. I'm telling you not to be negative. Just be neutral. Just be regular. He should have just said, hey man, I'm gonna go out here and play the best I can. And may the best team win. Right? That's neutral. Just totally neutral. If you can't be positive, just don't be negative. Because negativity is a cancer, I'm telling you. The number 9 thing ruining men's life is hanging out with the wrong people. Fucking with the losers. Let me ask you a question. If your friend can get a new car and you start seeing it everywhere you go, we've all had the experience. What happens when he starts bringing his negativity to your attention? What are you gonna see? You know what I'm saying? When his car was brought to your attention, you start seeing that everywhere. When he starts bringing his problems to your attention, what do you think you're gonna see? If he's complaining, woe is me, crying and shit, what are you gonna see? You're gonna start seeing those problems too. Maybe even in your own life. It's super important that you don't be around negative people, because Bill Buckner's negativity fucked up there's a whole team of motherfuckers who don't have a World Series ring because of him. If one of your friends is coming to ask you for help, that's different than complaining. I want to be clear about that. If they're asking for help, that's good, because help means they haven't given up. They're saying, hey, I got this problem. I would like your assistance and or advice on how I can defeat this thing, right? But somebody who's just complaining, crying, asking for sympathy, that's a motherfucker who's just threw in the towel and he's looking for someone to make him feel better. Fuck him, he a bitch. That's one side of it. But then there's another side of it where it's disguised as good intentions, where sometimes these motherfuckers will see you working real hard, see you grinding, and be like, oh man, you gotta chill out. You work too hard, man. Live a little. Come to the club with me. Nah, let's get these hoes, man. You don't like hoes? Nah, let's smoke this weed, man. Let's get high all night and play video games, man. You've been working all week. Let's smoke that OG Kush and play World of Minecraft all night. Oh man, you done made some money. Let's go celebrate and blow all our money at the strip clubs on hoes. Or I get this all the time. And man, you don't want just one drink? Yo, that takes a different kind of strength. I was in Atlanta with the Tate brothers and Tristan was trying to get me to drink. I don't drink. He called me every name. He was making fun of me. Everybody was laughing. He started doing stand-up about how much of a bitch I was for not drinking. That's my man's. You know, guys, we make fun of each other and it's out of fun, right? It's cool. But he was like roasting me in front of mad people. Trying to pressure me to drink. And I was like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool, man. I didn't drink. You gotta have that kind of strength. You gotta remember, man, he's taller than me. And in that environment, it was like a Tate Brothers thing. So like, he was like the man there. It would have been difficult for a lot of people to withstand that pressure. But you know, I'm a G. You know, can't nobody. Fucking Jesus couldn't get me to drink. I'd be like, no, Jesus, I'm good. Good, fam. I told you, Jesus. Right? Nobody can get me to do it, but you know, I get it. It comes from both sides. Tristan didn't mean any harm, just like your friends don't mean any harm. They just want to have fun with you, but you on a mission sometimes, and it may not be congruent. But a lot of people will let their friends and their allegiance to their friends allow them to take them off their path.
Andrew, shout out King Keo.
King Keo, Andrew.
Mr. fucking handsome. Oh, thank you very much, King Keo. Can't wait to have you over here in Romania. I know you're like, I don't like to drive cars.
Is it vodka Keo?
Hey, this is Brandon from the future. And while I was recording that video, I forgot the 10th reason that men are ruining their lives. But I'm not gonna make any excuses about that. That's actually the 10th thing that's ruining men's lives, making excuses. See, a lot of guys will look at successful people or people who are living the life they wanna have and say, oh, it's easy for him. He's got this or he's got that, as if it exonerates them from the responsibility of accomplishing their own goal, right? Somebody may look at me and be like, oh, it's easy for Brandon. He's tall, handsome, and built like the Oscar statue. And he's so humble. How can I compete with that? He's like a king of humility. No, a god of humbleness. And they're right. But here's the thing. Just because someone has some advantages you don't have, that just means you have to work harder than them. Then work harder for them. There's people who had advantages that I don't have. Your father probably didn't blow his fucking brains out when you were in your early 20s. You probably didn't grow up in the south side of Chicago in the fucking black ghetto. The first time I had a gun put in my head, I was with my mom and we were robbed at gunpoint when I was 5 years old, right? I grew up in a neighborhood where they're robbing toddlers at gunpoint. You know, you probably didn't grow up like that, but it doesn't matter, right? If someone has some advantages you don't have, that just means you have to work harder than them. Then work harder than them. Because here's the thing, you can't go to the jewelry store or to the Bentley dealership or up to the seller of your dream home and say, hey, I know I don't have the finances to cover these expenses, but you gotta understand, man, I got school and work and it's hard for me, right? You can't make no money off your excuses, bro. I don't care what happened to you in the past. Nobody cares. They may have some sympathy for you, but they're not gonna give you what you want because some bad shit happened to you. Fuck that shit in the past. Yesterday don't pay. And worst of all, if you argue for your limitations, then you get to keep them. Here's the beautiful thing about not having the advantages that other people have. It makes your story better, right? It makes your story better. If you came from a rich family and everything was handed for you and you become successful, that's not a cool story to tell. There's nothing awesome about that. That's what was supposed to happen. But if you had it hard, if you had a bunch of disadvantages, if you had disabilities, you know, the worse your past is, the more limitations that you actually have to overcome, the better your story is.
Number 11, not understanding compound interest. Everybody understands compound interest as it relates to getting money, right? That's not a novel concept, right? If you get a certain amount of, if you keep investing in a market that's getting a certain percentage of money over time, that is going to compound, it's going to be exponential. Albert Einstein called compound interest one of the wonders of the world. People get that as it pertains to making money and investing. I don't think people understand that it's like that with everything. For example, relationships. Like my operations manager, she's like business partner, Amber, right? With me. When I started HTT, I got her on board to do the operations, to handle a lot of the management and stuff like that. And she just did a great job. And it's over years and years now, I really trust her. And then to the fact where I gave her and her company, you know, rev share in the business because I trust her so much after years. I want her to continue, you know, doing that stuff, right? But that came with tenure. So she's made millions because our relationship, it started to compound over time. Think about your best friend. You probably know that motherfucker for years, right? Not like a day. It's like those relationships compound over time, right? So it's super important when you meet people to like think about that and think about like you're investing in a relationship because you don't know what it can be down the line. Or with studying, reading, learning. What happens is you start reading so much, you start learning so much, and you're constantly learning. It's not like you learn one more thing. It's like, no, that information connects to other pieces of information you've already learned, plus life experience. And now your knowledge base on certain subjects compounds exponentially, even with just one book, because you might have learned a lot from the book. But then if you take that information and think about it, it starts connecting it to other stuff you read or other stuff you've done or other things you've learned or heard. You really got way more knowledge than was just in the book, but people don't take that into account. So it's not just with money compound interest, it's with everything. The reason you love your parents so much, because they took care of you for so long and they did so much for you. They didn't just feed you for a day, right? They did it your whole life. And then you built that attachment to it, and those attachments keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they grow exponential. Number 12. Trying to do too many things at once. You all have heard the shit. Entrepreneurs have like multiple streams of income, right? They have like 7 streams of income. Don't be a fucking dummy and try to start all of them at once. Like you really gotta focus on get one of them going and then start spinning the other ones, right? So that's what these motherfuckers do who spin the plates. If you ever watch one of these people, what happens is they get one of these plates going, then they get the next one, then they try to keep them all going. But they didn't try to spin all fucking 7 plates at once. So a lot of guys, they're trying to do too much at once, especially as it pertains to income. They try to start like 8 businesses. I got all this other shit going on, right? And they do all this, and all this energy is going different directions, but they're going like nowhere fast. If they were smart, you would put all that energy into one thing. I didn't really get this until 2019, I'm gonna be honest with you. And up until then, I had like multiple businesses, supplement company, doing fitness stuff. You know, I started meal prep business in New York. I had a bunch of shit going on. It was crazy. I was managing other influencers, like a lot of the fitness influencers at that time. Like I was actually managing their business. I had a lot of shit going on. I got a little burnt out. I feel like I reached capacity. I just went on a vacation by myself, legit by myself. And I just wanted to think about what happened. And I got, I'm just gonna do one thing right now. And that's when I decided to just focus. Boom. I'm gonna have one active income goal, right? Boom, my business, HTT. The only thing I was gonna really put my focus on. I stopped making YouTube videos. I stopped you notice I took like 2 years off of YouTube. I stopped doing everything. And the reason Myron was there, because he was one of my students. That's what helped. You know, that's how he got enough money to start the podcast and quit his job. Instead of trying to be out here trying to be a fucking international playboy and shit, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna have one girlfriend. It should have made it so much simpler, way better, right? And then all my investments would just be passive income, shit I don't have to think about right now. And then The first year I did this, my income tripled. I shut down all them other businesses, focused on one, and my income tripled. And it was way simpler because instead of having a bunch of business with a bunch of employees, I had one business, small amount of employees. We have 30 now because it's grown since then. Yeah, I just focused on one active income source. Number 13, to help you do that, you have to start tracking your progress. Tracking is the most important thing. Anytime you want to improve your progress, you got to start tracking. And there's a few reasons why this works. One is something called the Hawthorne effect. So back in like the Industrial Revolution, they started building all these factories. But what they noticed was some factories were more productive than others. This is a factory I'm drawing. And they were trying to figure out why some of these factories were more productive than others. So they had these scientist motherfuckers. One of them name was Hawthorne. And he would go to each one of these factories. And every time he went there, they said to the workers, hey, listen, guys, don't change anything you're doing. We just want to observe what you're doing because we want to see why some are more productive than others. We just want to observe. Don't change nothing. Just keep doing it. Hawthorne and the homies are going to look around. And what happened was every time they went to a factory, productivity skyrocketed. It just shot up 100%. It's called the Hawthorne effect for that reason. Because what they noticed was the mere fact of observing what you're doing increases performance. So here's what you want to do. I want you to make a list of all the things. If you did them every day, it would be impossible to fail and accomplish your goal. It would make your goal impossible to fail at. And if you do that, once you make that list, then you can set up like a simple tracker. If you just use a spreadsheet or something. I use this Notion. So here's like one of my tracking sheets from August. This shit I had to do every day, right? Boom, work out, meditate twice a day, track my macros, get 7 hours of sleep, track my finances in mint.com. I track every dollar I spend, all the income coming in. I do something called the flex pitch. I can't tell you what that is. Practice Spanish, right? We're gonna get back to that. I just try to win each day. And what you see is, man, I worked out 87% of the times. Okay, some rest days. I meditated almost every day in the morning. I missed some of the PM ones, so I track my macros every day without exception. Most days I slept 7 hours a night at least. I track my spending almost every day. Boom. If you just from that alone, you can tell that, oh, this motherfucker gonna be in good shape. He's gonna be cool as a motherfucker because he's meditating and shit. He's gonna be well rested. His money gonna be right. I can't tell you what the flex pitch is, but look at Spanish. Yo hablar un poquito español. You see why? Me llamo Brandon Grande, el jefe de ejercicio Jesús del gimnasio. Dos gatos, una mesa para leche, quesadilla. So yeah, my Spanish needs a little bit of work. I know you're thinking, Brandon, you sound like a fluent, a native Spanish teacher. I'm like, nah, it could be better. And you see why it could be better. Because I haven't been practicing. When they do like studies for like diet pills, they always have a placebo. You know sometimes a placebo can work, but they also have like a regular control sometimes where they don't give people nothing. They just tell them to track their calories. They tell everybody to track their calories. The placebo, the people who took the drugs, and people who did nothing. Here's the thing, man. In those studies, all three lose weight. Even the people they gave nothing, they didn't even get a placebo. Why? Because it's the first time they fucking tracking how much fucking food they eat. Tracking improves performance every time. If you do these things, I promise you will excel in life, especially this last one. If every day is a victory, all you got to do is focus on making today a victory. You do that every day, the week's a victory. Every week's a victory, the month's a victory. Every month's a victory, the year's a victory. Every year's a victory, your life is victorious. Come on, man. That's what we're here for.